Hey CCCH students, it's Pastor Dan here on a Wednesday morning. Yeah, I'm a couple days late with our update because of snow and some other things going on around here, but we want to make sure that you knew what was happening around here in case you missed this last weekend. This last weekend was our very first hilarious holiday. We had so much fun on Valentine's Day on Sunday. We played some crazy games. We had some refreshments. It was just an absolute blast. Make sure you check out some of our pictures online on Instagram, on Facebook, because it was hilarious. We also did something really cool and really special. We actually had a service project as part of our morning. We were able to write and package 65 Valentines for our shut-ins and for some of our widowers of our church. We created some notes, and then we also packaged some goodie bags for them. And the last couple days, even with the snow, we have got almost all of those bags out all across our area. We've been encouraging senior adults. So if you were part of that, thank you so very much for taking the time to lovingly write a note. Thank you for our high schoolers especially who did all that packaging and creating all those goodie bags. The senior adults absolutely have loved them. They're going crazy. They so thank you for what you're doing. You know, we have some great things going on around here all the time. We have more hilarious holidays coming up the next couple months. We got Pi Day in March. You do not want to miss Pi Day. That is going to be hilarious. Also coming up in March, very beginning of March, is our new takeover night, our next one. We had a great roller skating night a few weeks ago. 70 or 80 people showed up. It was a blast. And now we are back here at CCCH in the main auditorium for a game show night we're calling Game On. It is going to be so much fun. We're starting the night just having some big games going on around the building, and then we're gathering in the main auditorium for a crazy game show night to win some cool prizes. And then at the very end of the night, we have Dan's Game of Games face-off for a grand prize. So you do not want to miss that. You want to make sure you show up with your friends, have some fun, maybe embarrass them a little bit, but win some great prizes. And then, of course, at the end of the night, as always, we'll be sharing the gospel. Tim, our awesome family ministry interns, will be sharing the gospel and the message of Jesus Christ and how much he loves us. So do not miss those. Well, talking about love, this last weekend was the beginning of our brand new series, God Is. And because it was Valentine's Day, we talked about the fact that God is love. So I quickly just want to give you a quick snippet of what we talked about in case you missed it with all the snow and the cold weather outside. We talked about this idea of God is love, and we used John 1 John 4, 7 through 16 is our main passage. And we just talked about this idea that, dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. And we just simply broke down the rest of the passage and talked about this idea that God is love. The whole entire foundation of what we're going to talk about in the next couple weeks is this idea of God and who he is, but we need to understand the fact of who God is, that God is love. As we talk about this week, we talk about the idea of God being known. 2 weeks from now, we talk about the God that is divine and his divine attributes. And then at the very end of this, as we talk about how we know God is real, we need to start off with a simple foundation that God is love. Not God is loving, but God is pure love. He is agape. And we spent a little time, especially on Sunday night, talking about this idea of agape, godly love. But what we talked about simply as we walked through 1 John 4 is we talked about 4 things. So if you have your journal or whatever, make sure you write these down so you don't miss it for next week. And as you come back, make sure you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about as we move along the next couple weeks. We talked about 1, that God's love is shown. That we can see, but know that God's love is shown for us. The foundation of our understanding of God is that God's love is shown for us, and that we have the opportunity to show others. The second thing we talked about is the idea that God's love is seen. That we can see what God does and how he loves us, but also we have the opportunity to turn and show other people how we love, but let them see God's love through us. The third thing we talked about was this idea that God's love is spirit. As we walk through 1 John 4, it talks about this idea that God's love is partly because he empowers us with his spirit. It's not just an emotion. The idea of emotional love is great, but it only lasts for a moment. When it really comes to God's agape love, this empowering love, it is all about his spirit in us. God loved us, sent his son for us to show his love to us, and then he empowers and invests his spirit in us so that we have a new kind of love for ourselves, for others, and for him. The final thing we talked about, the fact is God's love is salvation. That what we have is we have God demonstrating his love for us by giving us the atoning sacrifice of Jesus. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that in the next series as we talk about the original Superman, Jesus Christ, and what it looks like for us to understand and know God, but then begin to know his son, Jesus Christ, but also in a few months, we're going to talk about the Holy Spirit. Each time we get together over the next couple months, we're going to be talking about a different foundational belief and foundation for who we are. We spent some time talking about what we know and why we believe the Bible. Now, as next weeks, we're going to talk about what we know and believe about God. 4 simple truths to help us have a foundation of faith and belief as we head out into our world. So once again, this last week we talked about God is love. God's love is shown, seen, is a spirit, and is salvation. This coming week, as you join us on Sunday morning, Sunday night, we're going to talk about this idea of God is known. How do we know God, but how does God reveal himself to us? So make sure you are signing up. Sunday morning, 10:45 for our 5th to 8th graders. Make sure you sign up and show up because we only have so many spots and they're filling up quickly every single week. The same thing for our high schoolers. 6 p.m. in the student ministry audit area, we will be studying the deeper end of this idea of God being known. So make sure you also sign up for us. Let us know. High schoolers, we have a little more flexibility. So if you don't miss out on signing up, just email me, drop me a quick call really quick. Let me know you are coming. We are so looking forward to seeing you all this coming week again. Make sure you check your calendar. Make sure you check your email. And then as always, we will see you back here.